Hello everyone and welcome back to yet another episode of Satsuhime's Grand Adventure. Last episode we took a little break from the usual and you learned a bit more about me. This time we will be traveling across Eorzea to visit the other nations and speak to their leaders. The first stop will be Limsalominsa. And although I do enjoy hanging out in Gridania, I'm looking forward to a change in scenery. Venturing into the unknown can be a scary thing, but it could also be a great opportunity for growth and adventure. What kind of shenanigans will Satsuhime get into this week? Sit back, relax, and find out right now. We start off today's quest by heading over to Mother Mione to inform her of my new task. After showering me with praise and comparing me to the warriors of light yet again, she continued by encouraging me to explore as much as I can, despite the new task given to me, and use my status as an adventurer to the fullest. And with those parting words I head to the airship dock to head out. Upon my departure I am seen off by my new friends in Gridania. And as I take to the sky, something sinister was brewing in the Garlean Empire.
It has been 15 years, but the bitter taste of defeat lingers still. 15 years since the Imperial fleet set course for Mordona, led by the Egrios, mightiest of all vessels. Silver Till Lake lay ripe for the taking, and all of Eorzea would soon be ours. Or so we believed. But an innumerable host of dragons met us that day, at the heart of which flew the great meat guard Zormer. Though we succeeded in slaying that lord among worms, the dread serpent's defeat was bought at too high a price. Our invincible flagship was lost, and all hope of victory with her. So ended our glorious conquest. Eorzea, a blighted realm, riddled with false gods. Twice now it has eluded the Empire's grasp. For all the destruction it wrought, even Meteor, the great sin, failed to yield us control over it. And for this failure, the realm has sunk deeper into depravity. It is twisted beyond all reckoning, rotten nigh to the core. Yet, it must be saved. Only Garlean rule can bring order to Eorzea. It falls to us to deliver the misguided masses from their ignorance.
We are of one mind, Lord Van Balzar.
Hey, is the Legatus really planning to take another tilt at Eorzea?
Hey? What hole have you been hiding in? We're in the midst of preparing for a new campaign, and a huge one at that.
But I thought the Emperor had given up the Western lands for lost after Cartano. What could the Legatus possibly hope to gain by acting alone?
I sense you harbor certain doubts over the wisdom of the Legatus's plan.
My lord!
Please, call me Nero. Tell me, where were you born?
Othard, my lord.
Alamigo, my lord.
Ah, codename Hummingway, I presume?
I don't know what you...
Silence. Your denials will not change your fate. I assure you, Frumentarium sees all. Clean up this mess, and do not miss any, or I shall be most displeased.
At once, my lord.
Garland, soon you will be made to know the true power of Magitech.
After that scene, I arrive at Limsolo Minsa, stop for a bit to take in the sights like the Aetherite Crystal in the Central Plaza, then head off to meet the leader here. I would have plenty of time to explore after I got the job done, so I decided to get that done as soon as possible. Upon entering the room I was met by the Admiral of Limsolo Minsa, whose name is literally impossible to pronounce. So she shall from this point forward be called the Admiral. She recalls the Battle of Cardano, and after a bunch of other boring crap she signs the paper, and tells me when I get to Elda, to tell Raban she said the wolf has been sniffing around the stables. Whatever the fuck that means. After that snooze fest I'm finally able to explore this beautiful town, so I take full advantage. My sister raved about how awesome it was to have a pet fairy and become a scholar. I was super pumped to head over to the guild to get started. But as usual that skank only told me half the story. Apparently you can't just become a scholar. You must first become an arcanist, and instead of a fairy, you have an adorable glowing rodent follow you around. Which I guess is okay. After confirming with the receptionist that I want to join, I head over and speak to a woman acting as the arcanist guild leader. Why am I speaking to an acting guild leader instead of the actual one, I hear you ask? It's because apparently the actual guild leader is MIA. She explains to me that the arcanist's nature is to tap into the living energies of ether, which explains our ability to summon elemental creatures. But the core discipline is defined by problem solving and strategy primarily on the battlefield. The ability to calmly analyze a situation from moment to moment and respond appropriately with whatever spell you have, makes us particularly valuable. Hearing all that was enough to get me pumped up and ready to go. She hands me my first grimoire and I am tasked once again to go murder some innocent creatures. As I prep to head out I notice that I only have one spell at my disposal. But the freaking spell is called Ruin. Which means it's time to go ruin the lives of some creature families. After a small death fiesta I reach level 4, and by this point I have access to 2 more spells, and the ability to summon my familiar carbuncle. I am particularly interested in the bio spell. Something about inflicting my enemies with poison and watching them writhe in agony until their lives fades away, makes me feel all tingly inside. I stop fantasizing for a moment to summon my little buddy, so they too can enjoy the bloodshed. He seems to attack the enemy with ranged wind spells, which is just fine with me. One interesting thing I did find out is having my pet with me makes more enemies attack me at once, which for normal adventurers would be a scary thing to look out for, but for me and my new murder buddy it just means more creatures to kill. After getting to know my new pet and abilities a bit more, I head back to the acting guildmaster to turn in my quest. She noticed that those enemies may have been a bit too easy for me, so she now sends me to kill a few stronger creatures. Cue the battle music. The deed was done, so I return back to the guild leader. She notices that the coordination with me and my pet is getting much better, so she would like to try a more practical exam. She tells me some of our work requires us to record the contents of incoming cargo, and she has set up a simulation of sorts to demonstrate this. She says that some merchants will go to great lengths to deter a thorough investigation, and I should be prepared for any scenario. I reach the destination to examine the cargo and I'm ambushed by some slugs and rats. Why the hell are slugs and rats kicking it with each other? How the fuck should I know? Or care for that matter? I'm going to destroy them all anyway. After doing just that, I try a second time to examine the cargo. As I conduct my investigation, I notice some weirdo laying in the grass nearby reading their grimoire. She begins to analyze me and my performance dealing with the recent attack. After babbling on for a few minutes with nerdy nonsense, she finally introduces herself as Kalia and tells me she had handpicked to oversee my training. She tells me that based on her current assessment I have an admirable grasp on the fundamentals. She inquires about factors that may influence my actions, and I answer the desire to outwit an enemy. She seems pleased with that answer and tells me that I have a 90% chance to become an arcanist of note. Poor girl has absolutely no idea just how amazing I am. She gonna learn today. She further elaborates on her previous enthusiasm by telling me that the person who gave her that grimoire answered the exact same way. That person was the guildmaster. She said upon his leave of absence he stated, "Strategy is a tool used to manipulate one's situation into the desired reality." Sounds about right. She finishes up by telling me that more focus and experience will do me some good, and I should keep working on my connection with my pet. After all that, me and the nerd go our separate ways, and I head back to the guild. Back at the guild, the standing guildmaster tells me a bit more about the person who will be overseeing my progress. Like the fact that she is indeed an oddball, and carries around a grimoire she has held onto since the day she joined the guild. She seems to be worried though that her borderline obsession with academia may have caused her to overlook other important aspects of life. She hopes that in exchange for her guidance I could help broaden her perspective. And with that I had accomplished what I had set out to do in Limsalo Minsa. I am a full-fledged arcanist, and plan on becoming a great scholar one day. I truly hope that you guys enjoyed yet another episode of Satsuhime's Grand Adventure. Don't forget to hit that like button and share the video. Your love and support sustains me. Not as much as killing, mind you, but it's pretty damn close. Bye guys. Have a wonderful day.